If you could book the Weatherman's action, you would be a rich man today, would you not? I mean, are they almost routinely wrong? Although they do a much better job of tracking these hurricanes. They always seem to miss the area that becomes of greatest concern. It was the Tampa area, and as I said, they dispatched everybody, to the Tampa area. All the big news anchors, all of a sudden, they're standing on a bridge in Tampa, as if that was a good idea. They're telling you to be safe.
That's my favorite.
Yeah.
They're like, be careful. And they're like in the beach, in the air. Stupid ass umbrella.
An umbrella, yeah. Obviously, you're nowhere near any danger, or you wouldn't be standing there, lady.
This is the one guy holding the thing off camera.
What is the point of that, right? I mean, would she not be just as affected from the studio? Why do they have to have the person standing there as if they were Charles Bronson in Death Wish?
Exactly. My other favorite thing is, and they only do this in South Florida, the rest of the country, they expect to be safe. When they're like, and it's always the elbow room. We're here in the elbow room. It's packed still. Like they're partying. It's like,
the bar I was at last night. They pride themselves on being overcrowded during hurricanes.
Is that good? Like, why is that good? Why are we proud here that we're stupid assholes?
There's always the one guy that's literally takes a surfboard and goes right off the pier there. He goes to the end of the pier. The thing's wobbling, and all of a sudden, this guy just jumps in and tries to ride a wave in from the edge of the pier. Always that one guy. And a lot of times there's no interview on the shore when he gets in.
No.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
And a very pleasant good morning, everybody. Great to be with you here on what should be maybe, I don't know, is it a double or a triple Degenerate Friday today? Just absolutely fantastic. So many things to celebrate on the Degenerate front, including those that had the foresight to hammer the under on last night's football game. 43 was a total. Such ugliness was all you could say throughout that ball game. I literally thought that the only way to enjoy that game was if you had had a lobotomy. You had to go right into a cuckoo's nest type of mode and just figure if they took your ability to distinguish anything out of your head, then you might have enjoyed watching that game last night. Unless, of course, you just hate Russell Wilson, which a lot of people are starting to, I don't know if they hate him, but they're starting to find him a little bit funky. Russell Wilson, $250 million. What they trade? 5 first-round picks, a couple of viable players, and the rights to anything that you want. I think that they offered the Bolins a supermarket sweep at Walmart and a lifetime supply of hot dogs or whatever they feature there that is particularly ugly and inedible. And it was weird too because you're looking at this and you couldn't help but think they kept showing the Walmart guys that bought the team for $4.5 billion. $1 billion. And okay, there you go. Big board's a scratch today. All right. What was he going to wear? Like a Hitler costume or something?
I don't know.
All right.
I wasn't. I'm exhausted. I'm not here. I don't want to fight with anyone today, so I'll do whatever.
Oh, me either. I don't know. I mean,
I get what you're saying. I get it. So it's fine. We have to be sensible. We're not really sensible, but there's got to be some boundaries.
What was he going to read chapters of Mein Kampf? I mean, what was he going to do on the show here? I love the professor.
It would have been funny. I don't know. I just.
That's up to you. You have to make an editorial decision on that.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah. You made an editorial decision, and I'm not fighting you on it.
I don't know how much Nazi material you want to do on like the week of Yom Kippur. I'm not sure. I mean, what do you think, Lubie? You tell me on that one. I hate to blow up the professor.
It's you were right. So he said it's like a decent amount of it.
I don't know. In the interest of. Why would we ever operate in the interest of good taste? I don't know.
There's certain, and it's okay.
Some boundary. I mean, it's Miami. I mean, 90% Jews living in this city here, and the rest, I guess, are Hispanic. I don't know. I mean, are any goyim here in Miami? No, very, very few, right?
Yeah.
Even Italian people celebrate Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah. But I mean, on the week of the highest of holy days, do we really want to dive into an all-Nazi half hour? I mean,
probably not. He warned me to warn you, so he understood. And I warned you, and you warned me to warn him. So we did the warning. The warnings have been passed.
Well, I mean, the Giselle Brady stuff, would
yeah.
roll right into his wheelhouse, would it not? I mean, this guy's been waiting for this forever.
Yes.
Um,
Yes,
I don't know.
yes.
I'll have to think that one through. I
I
really,
don't
but when you
understand.
first hit me with it, like you're not going to like this, I'm like, I generally like anything, but I don't know that I really want to do a half hour of Nazism here on the show.
Well, I
But
didn't
we
think
already
this
have enough of that coming from the Republican Party here. I mean,
Look, I didn't
they
think it
want
was
they want us goose stepping all the way into the past, don't they? The
Oh,
way
yeah.
things are going so far, right? And with like no conscience whatsoever. I mean, we know that. I don't know that Donnie Boy has a conscience of any type, but it doesn't seem that way. Boy, did he look morose standing in front of the Hispanic leaders who he was speaking in front of here in Miami a couple of days ago. And it's like enough already with this, dilly-dally story about, oh, they stole my election. I really won. I won in Philadelphia. I won in... No, you lost. You lost. All right? This would be like Nathaniel Hackett standing up after the game and just telling people that he won yesterday. And maybe deferring to the PR department there and bringing on Sarah Huckabee Sanders. That'd be what it was like. All right. Well, anyway, that represents a serious change in the show. Is he still going to give us his college picks if he's going to wipe out the big board here?
I don't think so.
Oh, he's mad? I hope he's not
I don't
angry.
think he's upset. He warned me for a reason, so I don't think he's upset. It's just, I guess that's a big part of his whole shtick. So it's not. I don't know.
Yeah, I hate to blow off the X-rated version of the big board here today, but I don't know what it is. I mean, I just have a funny feeling if you're warning me that this is not going to be good.
Yep.
Then I mean, you have to draw the line. You got to decide. Where do we want to go with this?
I stood up for it, and because I'm like, okay, it can't be that big a part. And when I said, just like, oh, then yeah, never mind. Then I was like, Jesus, how big of a part of it? He's like, yeah, it's like 3/5 of it.
Was he going to dress as Hitler Youth? I mean, what was the story on that? Yeah, pick a couple of college games. We'll have a few laughs. I don't know that we want to dive into, deep, macabre, dredging up of memories of Nazi Germany here. Not sure that that's our game on the show. We're just trying to have a good time. All right. Well, anyway, we'll deal with that. I hate to have controversy and dissension among the ranks here. As the head coach of this team,
he's like, "Look, I get it. That's why I warned you." I was like, "Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for the warning."
All right. Well, maybe you can drag the college picks out of them because people are waiting for that, and maybe of the 5 things, 2 would be viable. It would just go with a big board of 2. And then border on Nazism there, or whatever, neo-Nazism, or whatever it was that he wanted to express. Anyway, this game last night was something, huh? I mean, Amazon Prime, I think they even, their deliveries dropped off, and people are going to stop ordering stuff from Amazon Prime if they continue to televise games like this. And why are the Denver Broncos featured on anything, for that matter? Buzz Bissinger was absolutely right. I wish you would dig up some of those clips and play them in this show from our Believe podcast with Buzz Bissinger talking about Russell Wilson and how he sucks and how this was maybe, among the worst deals that was ever consummated in the history of professional football. And then on top of that, they gave him like $250 million. They're showing the Walmart people. Doesn't it look like they bought the team at Walmart? It really does. Never mind that they own the team. It looks like it's one of their products that you could purchase, right out of the box, where they just, slash open the box that the stuff came in, right? And there's 400 rolls of toilet paper, and you pick out whatever it is that you want. Because, wow, $4.5 billion for that. That's unbelievable. And a $250 million quarterback. Lobotomy night. That would be the only way that you could have possibly enjoyed that game. If you had some kind of frontal, I don't know. Is there another way to go in there besides frontal if you're having a lobotomy, Lubie? I'm not sure.
I always say frontal, so I guess
I've considered other avenues to try and get in there and get that whatever it is that disseminates things in your mind right out of your head. 12-9 was the final. They had to go to overtime to decide this. This is one of those cases where literally, if you're an under player. Which, do you have to be somewhat of a depressed individual to play the under? You have to have, like, no joy in your life, no optimism whatsoever, no desire to be excited. It's just, it's got to be dreadful, right? Being an under player and rooting for 3 and outs all game. Because you got exactly what you wanted. I mean, if you had the under in that thing, it was already over in the first quarter, was it not?
Pretty much.
I guess a couple of fluke touchdowns by the defense might have, endangered your chances of cashing that ticket. But the over-under on that game, surprisingly, was 43, Lubie, 43. And they got all the way to 21 in this one. Indianapolis looks like garbage also. As Matt Ryan, does he not show every sign of being a completely shot fighter?
Yep.
Wow.
100%. Oof. Oh, my God.
And who is 79 on the offensive line for the Colts? He was a rookie. His last name began with an R. I was supposed to look that up before I got started here today, but I got distracted. Wow, what a horrible game he had. I don't know that I've seen a worse performance by an offensive lineman in a ball game where the guy had to stay in the game because the Colts had other injuries along the offensive line. But you would have yanked this guy right out of here. He had 3 holding calls in the first half. They were all atrocious. And all impactful in a negative way. And then, he gets called for a false start. There was nothing this guy did right. Guys were flying at Matt Ryan the entire night. Anybody that lined up, I think he was playing right tackle. Anybody that lined up on that right side just blew by this guy as if he wasn't there. And made their way quickly unabated to the quarterback. And then Ryan would end up chucking. I don't even know how he completed a couple of those passes where his arm was being held and he's lobbing the ball like it was a hand grenade. And somehow, while the guy was being fairly well covered individually, even sometimes double covered, that guy Pierce, 14, where did he come from? He, it was a big difference maker in that game. And the only thing that kept the Indianapolis Colts hopes alive were, Pierce, 14, and Nathaniel Hackett, the coach of the Denver Broncos, who appears like an even bigger bozo now because in an attempt to atone for his previous coaching mistake, he made another one. Now, he goes for it on 4th down. If does the game end there? If they tie it up with like, what was it, a couple of – I turned it off, actually. I didn't see this happen.
I literally when they went to overtime and the fans of the home team that usually getting into overtime is a win if you're about to lose, they started booing. they would rather have lost than go to overtime. I was like, all right, if their own fans don't want this, I'm going to bed.
And the Denver fans not known to be leaving the ball game as the game is going overtime. Yeah, exactly. I mean, when did you ever see that? They were like among the most rabid, loyal, like Seattle. I mean, fans that would. I mean, it didn't matter what the weather was.
Yeah, it's like Cub fans.
They outdid the guys in Cleveland that within its 12 below zero, they're out there shirtless, in the dog pound. And wow, just leaving the stadium in droves. It sounded like Al Michaels wanted to leave too. I think he had the over in that ball game. He didn't sound like he was too interested in this one. And they have 100 analysts analyzing this dreck. It was just insane, but if you had been lobotomized, I think you would have enjoyed last night's NFL game. And without that, that was pretty rough to watch. And you really have to question if this general manager, never mind. I mean, mental health issues. This guy, I'm surprised we didn't see him flying off the top level of the stadium there, just diving into the parking lot and saying, "That's it. I'll never live this down." My desire to have Russell Wilson as my quarterback here. But that was the way we started the week here. And hopefully you guys pounded the under on that ball game and feel pretty good about yourselves today. Great day. I mentioned it's double and triple Degenerate Friday because we not only have 4 Major League Baseball playoff games on tap today as all of these wildcard series get underway. You have Tampa Bay at Cleveland. That gets underway 12 o'clock today, so an early start there to the baseball smorgasbord that you have. Philadelphia and St. Louis, which is that a misprint? You know how they always show what tickets are going for? I guess this is on the black market or something, but the price of tickets, the lowest price ticket for the Philadelphia-St. Louis game, what do you think it is, Lubie?
Oh, God, no idea.
St. Louis rabid fans. I mean, they love their franchise. They really are great baseball fans there. I don't know. I mean, I guess you could say there are more of these fans in New York because they have a couple of teams. And once again, my New York Post has about 8 pages of playoff baseball, mostly zeroing in on the New York Mets since the Yankees have the bye. Can you imagine that? 8 pages of Major League Baseball breakdowns here. That's the Mets, I think, are about to commit some form of suicide because they're defying the most basic credo in sports, which is don't get cute. They haven't made this decision yet, and I'm curious to see if they have the guts to stick to it. But if they lose today behind Max Scherzer, who got blown up in his last start after looking brilliant in the previous outing, if they lose today to the San Diego Padres, which certainly looms as a possibility, the Padres have what they think is a very powerful lineup. Although, wow, Soto ended up hitting 242 for the year. He came to them hitting 239, so he essentially did nothing of any significance once he got to San Diego. And also another guy that got like what? Didn't he sign like a $350 million deal once he got there? Juan Soto, or did they consummate that deal?
No, that was the whole point, was that he wanted a even bigger deal than the Nationals were going to give him, and he's done nothing. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, crazy. That he 23 years old, and you were looking at what they gave away for what essentially last year was most of the season, a 239 hitter, ended up hitting 242. But it certainly looms as a possibility. But the Mets are thinking about not playing DeGrom. We talked about that, pitching DeGrom in Game 2 after starting with Scherzer. They want to start Bassett. Now, what do they do? I mean, the whole thing blows up. If they win the first game, they don't pitch DeGrom, and they lose the second game, don't they have to throw him out there in Game 3?
Yeah, exactly. Who do you throw?
What, are they going to go with a bullpen game and save him for the Dodger series, which may not happen?
I don't get what they're doing. I don't. They're overthinking this. Like, you have Scherzer and DeGrom. Pitch Scherzer and DeGrom. I don't understand.
And then take your chances later on. I mean, if you win the first two games, you do get a little bit of time off between the series. But their whole theory supposedly is based on the idea of pitching DeGrom twice against the Dodgers. Do you not have to get there first? That would be, the most basic premise in all of sports or any endeavor in life. Don't you have to get there first before you start making decisions like that? And there's no guarantee that they're going to make it there, because San Diego, you would have to say, is at least a comparable team to the Mets. They might not have the frontline pitching, but Yu Darvish was very effective, and he's going against Scherzer today. Now, if you lose that game, you're throwing DeGrom anyway, right? In game number 2, you would have to, or you would look like complete fools. But the fact they're even thinking about that is kind of strange. That's the late game tonight, San Diego and the Mets. That gets underway 8 o'clock. They're all like 8:07 or 7 minutes after the hour that starts. Seattle and Toronto, kind of an interesting matchup there. Those games are in Toronto. And Philly, St. Louis, Tampa Bay, Cleveland. Those are the 4 series, and it starts out 12:07 today with the Rays and the Guardians. So Major League Baseball underway. And then the third part of the Degenerate Friday, I mean, a spectacular, as you have Keeneland open up today.
Nice.
Racing Nirvana, and we'll see what happens there. A bunch of Wesley Ward 2-year-olds, no doubt, going to dominate the early portion of the card. Haven't taken a look at it, but very much inclined to venture over to some simulcasting facility here and make sure that I get a couple of wagers in on Keeneland. So just a great lineup for anybody that wants to make bets today. I'm not sure, are you... we don't have a ton of baseball bettors, I don't think, here in town, do we? Baseball bettors?
No, not really.
I think we should come up with a 4-team parlay today, no?
Okay.
4-team parlay.
Yeah, let's do it.
And send that in like we were Kevin Hart. Is he really just sitting by his pool, betting his brains out all day long?
No. I would say 100% no.
No?
There's no way.
You don't think so?
No, not even a little.
Does he even bet sports? Or what do you think? I mean,
Maybe.
Huge advocate. He's on every ad on Amazon on the broadcast. Hart is sitting there by the pool, and he's calling DraftKings, and he starts barking like a dog. And I'm thinking, yeah, I've done that many times after making a wager. Mine were with bookmakers, Louis the Lip specifically, but many times I've been sitting there. And halftime last night, if you had the over, you're sitting there going, "Aroo!" Wow. I mean, trying to think of, various methods to maybe regrow your hair, anything other than looking at that game and concentrating on what was going on the field. That was just absolutely pure, unadulterated dreck. All right, get a lot of opinions about what's going to happen in the sporting world. I feel badly about the scratch of the professor. I didn't mean to rule out the professor here. We normally are not too strict about the editorial content of any of our guests on the show. But if you're saying that was going to be a half hour of straight Nazism.
I don't know about a half hour, but he said it definitely was a strong presence. So it is what it is.
All right.
No professor today. He's off today, but we should hopefully have him back next week.
All right, let's hope he doesn't quit the show over that. All right, we're coming back with more. Hialeah Park, great place if you're going to be a degenerate. I mean, wow, there's no better place than to have this spectacular environment that you can gamble in and make all the kind of wagers that you want, whether it's poker, whether it's horses, whether it's your favorite Vegas-style games, blackjack, roulette. They have all of that. The Royal Reels are hopping. More jackpots being paid out. Somebody took down 13 dimes just the other day. Really a happening spot there, and that's quite a departure from the usual casino atmosphere. The local place that I go to here, it's the Isle Casino. I mean, it's not like you're seeing everybody jumping up and down, screaming that they just won jackpots. Yeah, they have a couple of pictures on the wall, and they're the same pictures. They're starting to turn like yellow and stuff of guys that won jackpots like 20 years ago when they opened up or whenever they first put the facility together. And that's it. Right? You don't hear a lot of people winning. Yeah, you don't hear a lot of yelling and screaming. That's what you want. Hialeah Park, it's like everywhere you look. Whoa, another jackpot. Are you kidding me? Just really, really a great time that they have in the casino there. And they've been paying out like crazy. So phenomenal job by the people there running the show at Hialeah Park. They always do a great job. They care about their patrons, as evidenced by the very, very rich rewards program that they have, where you get a player's card and all of a sudden you really are that. You are a player. You're like a big shot. You're snapping your fingers. Here's a drink. It's just great. Great food and drink all over the place. Really just a dynamite time. Hialeah Park, they've done it right from every aspect of putting the casino together, the champion simulcast room and the poker room as well. Check out the calendar of events, hialeahpark.com. On the social calendar, you can find all kinds of things happening there and all kinds of parties and special events and DJs and live music. You're going to love it. Make sure you make your plans. Clear your social calendar. Check out Hialeah Park. Open till 5 a.m. on Friday and Saturday. So really ample time to get in there and just plunge your brains out and have a good time at beautiful Hialeah Park. All right, the Greek coming up with his picks. A scratch on a professor. I feel terrible about that, that he scratched out instead. I mean, maybe certain parameters and guidelines. I don't know. Unless he was going to dress like Hitler, I guess we probably could have gone with the thing. But you made it seem like this was going to be dreadful. So, we're going with the discretion, the better part of valor here. Later on, Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, will join us, and also Mark Lawrence. So lots of handicapping information for you here on the show today. I'm Jeff DeForest. He's Mike Lubie Lubitz on South Florida Live, and we'll be back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 7:25. Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. You know, since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Hear me. I am your new president. From this day on, the official language of San Marcos will be Swedish. Silence! In addition to that, all citizens will be required to change their underwear every half hour. Underwear will be worn on the outside so we can check. Furthermore, all children under 16 years old are now 16 years old.
What's the Spanish word for straitjacket?
Power has driven him mad.
Welcome back to the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie. Lubitz, a little bit out of sync here as we get things started on this Degenerate Friday. And I see you there kind of agonizing over the fact that, are you searching for the Greek? Is that the deal, Lubie?
I have the Greek.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot going on at my parents' house, and I'm not really happy with our government this morning. So,
Well, what happened, man? Give us some details.
I haven't talked about this because I don't really delve too much into the personal stuff, and it's a weird.
You're not really a citizen? Is that what the deal is?
I'm a citizen.
Are you being flown to Martha's Vineyard or something by
Ron
Ron DeSantis?
Some mental stuff. And a few weeks ago, when he was voting, he had an outburst at a polling place. They let him vote. They let him.
Who's this? Your father? You said?
My brother.
Oh, your brother.
Has mental stuff, and he has OCD and he has some stuff, and he's mentally,
So he's slightly deranged like the rest of us.
Well, but he's not violent. He's never done anything to anyone or himself, and he was polling, and he's very frustrated by our political climate.
He wasn't the guy at the Vatican Museum that knocked those statues off the shelf, was he?
No.
Okay, because it was an American tourist.
He's not happy with our political climate, and he was very loudly saying this at the polling place. They let him vote. They let him leave, and upon leaving, the police were after him. So
what?
I lost the Greek. Let me go back and get the Greek. He came home to find the police. He went with them. They Baker acted him for less than a day. They let him out on his own reconnaissance. Was fine. He has had no incidents since because he's not violent. He's never been violent. And they still, a few weeks later, decided to have a grand jury about my brother. And some witnesses there said some things that he definitely didn't say because he's not violent. They said he pointed out to people and he was
funny how they find those people. The prosecutors.
Well, the problem is, look, there are people that do it. There are people that do these things,
right.
And I appreciate them being safe. I understand, but I know my brother. He's never been violent. He's just not. He talks to himself. He's very passionate and whatnot. He's never hurt anyone. He's never hurt himself. He didn't have a weapon. They let him put it this way. They let him vote and leave. Like he was there a total of 4 minutes. They let him vote and leave. So whatever he said, even if he said the craziest thing known to man.
What was he yelling about?
They said he pointed at people and said he was going to kill them, which is weird.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's horrible. If he had
probably not a good thing to do.
But then would you let him vote and then leave? Like I feel like that's not what you would do with someone who did that.
No, you get him out of there right away.
Which he didn't do it. What it tells me is he didn't do it. He was talking to himself, and people don't handle mental illness well.
Yeah,
and he got scared, and they lumped him in with every other crazy person. So they had a grand jury. Nothing was found at the grand jury, but right now, 2 weeks after a grand jury, they let him free again. They let him free. He's roaming the streets. He's such a violent man, but they're letting him roam the streets. Now, 2 weeks later, 6 FBI agents, 3 FBI cars put my brother in, and I didn't want to put this out to the world, but I'm really shook right now. So you asked why. I want to at least explain why.
You weren't there, and
why I'm shook.
Well, it sounds like Mar-a-Lago all over again.
Yeah, it's pretty. Well, what bothers me is the people that actually do the real stuff get away.
Yeah.
My brother, who did nothing, he's been free for 2 months, roaming the world. If he is violent and scary, then why is he roaming the world for the last 2 months? I find that
all
a little.
All of a sudden, he's a danger to society. Yeah. How old is this guy?
I don't know what they would charge him with. My brother, he's 38, but he didn't have a weapon. He didn't touch anyone. No one touched him. He didn't go near anyone, and he has no record of any kind. So I don't know. I can't even fathom what they're charging him with. Halting an election. He didn't. He was there 4 minutes. They let
disrupting,
him
disturbing the
election process. Yes, but they let him leave. Like, why would you let him leave? And if he's stopping the election, they kept going. People kept voting. So
seems like they could dedicate their time to.
It seems like they're spending a lot of money
on
something that's bullshit. And
real
Who
shit.
was leading the charge there? Geraldo? Nick Navarro? Who was?
I don't know. It's
All right.
it's literally FBI. So I'm gonna get the Greek back.
Sorry to hear about this. Oh, okay.
I
All right.
apologize
You dig up the Greek.
for my
No problem. Lubie. I mean, that's a little bit. You would have to say it's going to be upsetting to the normal daily routine. So we've already had a scratch a professor over an over obsession with Nazism, and Lubie having his brother arrested while he's on the show, showing that they show up at the place you're at. All of these FBI people.
6 FBI agents are at my parents' house in Sunrise.
Why didn't they just interrupt the show then? I mean, are they fans? I mean, did they say when you said something? Did they say you're Lubie? Because that's always a good thing. Anyway, sorry to hear about these problems, Lubie. It seems like there are other things in the world that might be more significant, and this seems like something that probably should have passed, but without the post-election hoopla that's taken place. Did you see this? I mean, if you could think something, Lubie, as Donald Trump implied, and have it just happen. Did you not think that Ron DeSantis wanted to put a knife in the back of Joe Biden as they were making those speeches, acting like they were all chummy, trying to solve the problems there, and
Exactly.
eradicate some of the horrible things that happened due to Hurricane Ian there in Fort Myers? He's standing behind him, and those white boots. I don't know, Ronnie boy. He was in the Navy, and that's how he dressed for this occasion.
Commercial, yeah, he was in the. I didn't know he was in the Navy, but that commercial that airs 80 times a day makes sure you know that he was in the Navy.
They also make Val Demings. And she hasn't really come out with an overwhelming amount of negative attacks there. I mean, she suggests that Rubio is a putz, but we all knew that. At least those of us that haven't had the frontal lobotomy, for watching the game last night. But they made her look. They've depicted her as if she was some wild, untamed animal. Have you noticed that in the Rubio ads? I mean, they make sure that she looks completely disheveled and that she's out there screaming like some kind of maniac. Very, very, it's unfortunate what's happened in American politics. All right, we don't want to do too much on that because we have the Greek with us. Greek, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, buddy. Just listening to you and Ruby and, the Friday morning, getting ready to do the show at the Strike Cigar Lounge in Boca by one of your stopping grounds, the Funky Biscuit.
Oh, very nice, man. Stop in and say hello to Al Poliak if he's there early in the morning. But I don't think you might find him leaving at this point. That would be the closest he would get to being there at 7:35 or in the morning. All right, so how you doing otherwise? I mean, we're having all kinds of problems. The professor scratched out. I don't know if he was doing that out of deference to a good taste here because he was going to dive into a bunch of. What's your feeling about an overwhelming amount of Nazi material on a Miami, based show, which is what? What are we? 95% Jews here in South Florida.
He just said no.
You might be the lone non-Jewish person that we know.
Sure. Yeah, it's up to you. It's your show. I just come on and make picks.
Yeah, I don't know.
And, I
didn't know that we wanted to dive too heavily into that arena.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
You do what you want.
I mean, far be it from me to use any kind of guidelines of good taste in any broadcast that I'm doing, but I don't know that it's really appropriate, here in South Florida, because there will always be people that say, hey, once in a while throwing in a line, that's okay, but do you want to do a half hour on the Nazis? I don't think so. I don't know that would be in good taste. All right. What else is happening with you, Greek? I mean, you sound good. You sound like you're rounding back into form, my friend. Are you finding yourself? I mean, you literally have peeled yourself off the mat from where you were at a couple of years ago. You sound good, kid.
Doing the radio, staying out of trouble, banging around, nothing crazy.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying the games. Crazy year in the NFL. Everybody's real close, 2-2, 1-2. Dolphins are up in New York this weekend. Teddy Bridgewater is 26-4 on the road against the spread. So he's tough to bet against. So I think Miami beats the Jets and covers.
A lot of people, all of a sudden went on a big downer. But I don't know that Teddy Bridgewater is a huge drop-off from what we've seen overall from Tua Tagovailoa. Now, people have given rise to hope that Tua was going to get it together and be the guy that Lubie thought he was going to be when he came into the league. A lot of people thought he was going to be a very good quarterback. I don't know that he had done enough to make you believe that that was going to be the case over a long period of time, but certainly seemed to be heading in that direction more so than the opposite. But Bridgewater isn't bad. You know what? I think his record is something along the lines of like 73 and 46 as a starter. It's not like this guy, is coming in there as Bubby Brister and or some schmeck
No,
backup that you have no faith in.
No, he had that serious injury a couple of years ago in practice. But like I said, he's 26-4 on the road against the spread. So how do you bet against him Sunday? I would lay the 3 points with Miami.
I like that. All right, let's get into your picks. And I don't know, Lubie, are you tracking the Greek? How's he been doing on the show?
2-2 last week. Last week,
all right,
2-2.
Okay. Well, sometimes you just have to maintain. So, what do you have for us this week, Greek?
The Gators are home. They're laying 10 against Missouri. I don't understand that line. That's too high. I think they might win, but they're not covering 10. So I take Missouri.
All right. Missouri put up that big effort before finally gagging and losing that game to Georgia. Yeah, which all of a sudden, and Georgia dropped to number 2 as a result of giving up 20 points to Kent State the week before, and then by all rights, I mean, if you were on the scorecards and there was a 12-round fight, you would have to say Missouri won 9 of them. Although ultimately, ended up maybe getting stopped in the end, but they looked like the better team throughout most of that ballgame.
And then our play is the Jaguars Sunday. They're laying 7 against Houston.
You are in love with the Jaguars this year, and it's probably not a bad thing.
They're 3-1, I think, against the spread.
Jesus.
Yeah, playing a lot better. I think didn't they lose the opening week? And they've been very representative since that time. The Jacksonville Jaguars. It looks like
week they should have hit.
Yeah, you think you think it was Urban Meyer all along with Trevor Lawrence?
Well, I think Meyer really. I mean, I'm shocked he's back on Fox. To be honest with you,
I'm not.
Yeah, I don't think Meyer was a good coach. Yeah.
Fox likes to give money to people that nobody wants to hear from, that have demonstrated, that whatever expertise that we had credited them with in the past, probably wasn't merited because in reality they were just flat out assholes. They like that kind of guy. But Urban Meyer, vapid too as a commentator. I mean, he generates 0.0 in terms of excitement, and then we saw what he did with the Jaguars. So it's like watching Mike Tannenbaum get up there and comment.
Yeah, you're right. I'm surprised how many people they have on all these shows.
Oh, yeah, it's ridiculous.
6, 7 guys, 5 guys. They pay them millions of dollars. I mean, and they don't know jack. They really don't know anything. They don't know more than anybody. And they just throw stuff out. And they're not watching games and stuff like that. They get there an hour before, they probably get some notes. But I'm shocked the TV networks pay these guys the millions of dollars they do. But God bless them. I wish it was me.
It's always good if you're in the business and somebody raises the bar to a standard that is beyond absurd, because even if you're getting ripped off at the bottom end, it usually represents some kind of an increase in pay. But, I mean, we've been talking about that. To pay the money they did to get, in ESPN's case, Joe Buck and Troy Aikman to do those Monday night games, complete waste. And did you really need an 80-year-old Al Michaels, who he had to have the over in that game, the way that he was panning that game the entire time? Did he not seem like he was coming from a perspective of total disgust?
Yeah, he was mad. That game sucked last night. That game was like reading my divorce papers.
Maybe an old tax return. You go back over it and say, "Oh, you know what? I probably shouldn't have made that deduction after all. Maybe the IRS was right." All right, Greek, and you're going to be on the air later on today with the radio show on the gambling station. How's that going over there at 12:30?
That's good. That's at 3 o'clock. I'll be at Atlantis Motor Group, where they sell Ferraris on Fridays, and then 10 to 2, I'm at Strike Cigar Lounge in Boca. So stop by, and we got a trip up. If you beat the Greek, you go on a drawing to go to Vegas for 3 days.
Get out of here! Are you kidding me? Is that paid for by the station, or is that something you have to ante up your own cash?
No, the station takes care of it. What are you talking about? Come on, it's free.
You provide your own hotel and accommodations and
it.
transportation. Yeah. Otherwise, everything's on us.
No, we're picking up at the Circa Hotel Casino. It's a beautiful casino, the new one.
Oh yeah, nice. That's very good. All right, Greek. Well, and the picks again were. I mean, can you remember them? You had you like the Dolphins,
Jaguars, and Missouri.
And Missouri. Okay. All right. We'll go with that. And we wish you all the best.
That's good, my friend.
All right. Thanks a lot for being with us. The Greek, ladies and gentlemen.
His phone connection wasn't great if you couldn't tell.
This whole show has been, kind of funky all the way around here. I mean, we've had FBI interruptions. That's the first time I want to say. Now, one of our great firsts was when Grant Long was being stopped by the police while he was a guest on our show in Michigan. As we were talking about, and that was right after the George Floyd stuff, and we were talking about this business of typecasting, I guess you would call it. What is it called? Where you just stop a guy because he's a black guy driving
driving while black. They'll say driving while black is what.
Yeah.
WB driving while black is what black people will say.
And sure enough, it happened while the guy was in the middle of an interview. And to Grant Long's credit, he just continued to do the interview, as the officer was saying, "Where'd you get that car, son?" To a guy that played 15 years in the NBA. Who still works as a commentator in NBA TV. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that we've had an FBI raid at any of our locations, Lubie. That would have to be considered a first, no? A broadcasting first, even for us?
I don't know. Look, and what's funny is I'm all for like safety and stuff. It's just annoying to me that they always seem to go for the easy fish and the low-hanging fruit. I don't. Racial profiling is what they call it as well. That's my whole. I haven't said anything to anyone about this thing because I didn't think there was any meat on it. Like, I've been to polling places where people are being weird and crazy, and you go, okay, that's weird, and you go. Like, to me, I didn't think, like, unless you do something, like, and I get it, fire, yelling fire or bomb, you're not allowed to threaten people. But honestly, it's a free country. Like, I thought you could. I thought I could say, I'm going to kill you. And then walk away, and they can't do anything because I don't have a weapon. I have no history. I didn't make a violent act toward you. I didn't even do anything toward you, and I leave. Like, everyone talks about freedom. Like, that's weird. I'm all about safety and looking out. Believe me, I'm the one that was wearing masks. I still wear masks going into freaking stores, and when a lot of it's been disproven. But come on. Like, I don't know, man. We wasted a lot of our financial efforts on things that don't need it. Like, my brother's not the guy that you need to waste. He's not Al-Qaeda. He doesn't even have social media. That's the funny thing. Like, all these people do all this crazy shit and they let him go. My brother has no social media. He does nothing online. He said nothing online. Even they've openly admitted they found nothing.
So they arrested the guy? Is that what happened?
They literally have nothing. I want the charge.
They just came to your house and took this guy away.
Like, 6 FBI. Wow. Defo, I watch Criminal Minds. Guys will murder fucking people. They'll know they murdered people, and they don't do it. Literally, they should at least let you come in on your own reconnaissance. Like, turn yourself in. We didn't even know there was a warrant. We didn't know anything. Lawyer, because we wanted to be smart. But the guy's like, look, there's no reason to hire me. They never charged him. There's no indictments. There's nothing against him. So it's like, to pay a lawyer, they're like, that's sort of dumb. Just keep me abreast. Right now, the fact that it's been 2 weeks since the grand jury and they're just letting him live his life, they must not be too concerned about it. Out of nowhere, a Friday fucking morning, they have six FBI agents. They
actually came kind of late. Usually it's like 5 a.m. they show up.
Almost 8 o'clock in the morning. 6 FBI agents, 3 FBI cars, I guess, and they just made him in public in Sunrise, Florida. They put him in fucking handcuffs, and I am fucking livid. Like, I'm all for safety. I get it, but I'm sorry. You should have to do fucking something before they got.
And they just hauled this guy right now up to jail.
They took him right now to fucking, I guess, jail. There's going to be a bond that I'm going to have to help my parents out with later on.
You need Lipschitz number because he also does bail bonds.
I know. I'm sure I know he does everything. I don't know. I thought in this country you have to do something. Like, I didn't know. And there's no evidence. There was no video. They didn't show any video.
of anything. It's just people saying, "Oh, he's
Nobody's talked to this guy since from law enforcement. They didn't
no." There was a
send
grand
somebody
jury.
out there, see how he's doing. That was
They
it.
had a grand jury. They had a grand jury 2 weeks ago, and nothing since. And we had a lawyer,
And they didn't make a decision like whether to indict this guy or not.
I don't understand. I almost was a lawyer. I'm really into the legal process. I've never heard of anything like this. Like, even when people do, they brandish a gun or they brandish a knife or they have a record or they're online saying crazy
There's
shit.
got to be something about making threats at a polling place, though. I mean, I would imagine there's a law that finds that somewhat
I just
something
don't know
that
what
would be prohibited.
Charge him with and what can be the penalty when you let him go. You let him go. You didn't ham him up. You didn't arrest him. You let him go. He went and voted. He left, drove a car.
And he's obviously done nothing since. I mean,
and he's done zero since.
Yeah.
He did zero since. It was a month between the incident and the grand jury. They let him free.
Why didn't he just vote by mail? I mean,
well, he didn't want to vote. My mom guilted him because of our political world. There was a certain candidate we were all behind that needed our help. So my mom, who was racked with guilt because my brother didn't want to vote because he was very frustrated, and she egged him on and pushed him to go vote. So he went and voted, and now it's a fucking disaster.
Some family problems there, Lubie. I could see.
It costs a lot of money. Like, he didn't do
No,
anything.
it's terrible. The legal system, a lot of it is just sucking money out of
That's my problem. See, we're going to have to pay an attorney now.
out of the people.
It's not contingency. It's not any of that. This is a federal case.
Court costs and all of that stuff. It's all nonsense. It's sustain whatever it is that they have going. I mean, a lot of these cases, would have zero merit. I would think, they could have used a little discretion there since they did one. Nothing's happened with this guy since. We don't, not sitting here trying to be judge and jury, but
I'm not trying. I haven't tried to talk about it because it was an open incident. I just thought it would blow away.
I mean, was he disruptive in a polling place? Maybe so. Yeah,
yes,
it's possible.
That's what they're doing. And look, they're watching everything. So God forbid, Andy is right. I should just keep my mouth shut. I just don't understand any of this. I'm not fighting our country. I love our country. I love that they're trying to be safe, due process and all.
No, I could see where it would be upset.
I just don't get it, is what I'm saying.
No, it sounds horrible, though, Louie. I'm sorry you're having to go through this right here on the air.
This isn't Biden. So
I mean, we are literally naked here.
Florida.
Just living the truth that not everything in life goes as smoothly as you would hope, and certainly that's a very disruptive element. Having 9 law enforcement people show up at your door here as you're in the middle of a show, and our big decision was whether to scratch the Nazi material in deference to the fact that Yom Kippur was like 2 days ago, and we live in a largely Jewish community where and I've had people call me out on stuff because I'm always making fun of the fact that I'm Jewish, and some of the stereotypes I find kind of comical, really. I mean, even if there is an element of truth to them, which there usually is with certain stereotypes, not all. But, I mean, they come about because there might be some kind of a thread of truth, right? I mean, do we stereotype the poor people from Montreal, Canada as being shitty tippers? But is there not an element of truth to there, Lubie? Does it mean that every French Canadian is going to come there and leave you 6 cents on a $75 check? I don't know. I felt guilty doing that in Italy, too. I could never bring myself to leave nothing, Lubie. And everybody said, no, you don't tip.
You can tip. You just don't go crazy. You talked about it. You don't do a percentage. You do a couple bucks or like $5 or
$5. Yeah, I felt literally. I mean, if you wanted to say talking about stereotypes, by being racked with Jewish guilt, I felt terrible, doing that. So I found myself just peeling off these euros, not realizing which is worth more, the euro or the dollar, Lubie.
Right now, the euro by a little, but it's not like it used to be 2 to 1, 1.5 to 1. Now it's like slightly the euro. It's actually great to go over there.
How come those exchange places shellac you on the juice? Right, where you're buying $300 worth of euros, but it costs you $500. I don't know if it was quite that radical, but wow, I mean, they have no shame too, right? And they act like they're doing you a favor. This is a very nice exchange. It was like in Midnight Express there when the guy goes, in front of the judge. He just gets sentenced to life, and the lawyer leans over and says, "The judge, he likes you." It's like not that much, apparently. All right, we're coming back with a lot more here on the program. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie Lubitz. I'm going to give Lubie a couple of minutes here because, it seems like the steam, you're getting hotter about this as each
I just
moment
don't get
passes.
it. Look, I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Bailing a person out of jail is a pain in the ass, too. I mean, it really
well, the problem is a lot of this is all money now, right? Like they openly said they have no evidence of anything. Just people witness. Eyewitness doesn't do anything. I mean, eyewitness. Are you kidding me? People can lie. They don't have any, and I'm not trying to mess up their case. I'm just saying. So now,
but nothing happened, right? Essentially, nothing happened.
Nothing physically toward anyone, and he's done nothing since, and he had done nothing before, and he has zero record of violent acts at all. So that's why I didn't think it would go anywhere. My problem is it's just now. Now you have to get an attorney. They're all expensive. It's a federal case, so it's even more money.
A federal case? Oh, my God.
Because it was at a point. Literally, that's the thing. Like, it's where it happened. And I get it. They've had incidents. That's the problem is the witnesses will come and say, we've had a lot of these things happening. And I guess that you were softer before, and now they're being harder. They're cracking down. That's fine. And I understand. It's just, to me, the situation should matter. Like, that's what I thought in the justice system when it comes to cases, the person, the situation matters, not that we've had this happen. Like, I don't know what that means. Like, we've had a lot of things happen in life. Like, okay, like the person that in that incident is what should matter, not the 12 people before, like, I don't know.
It sounds ugly. The problem with federal cases is they don't bring them unless they want some form of accountability, and they want some kind of guilty plea.
Yes,
because that's what it's all about. It's a numbers game for these people. Unfortunately, I have this experience, and the problem that you have is over 90% of the people that come in front of a judge in federal court in any kind of a trial lose. It's not quite Russia. It's not like you're sitting there, and you're Brittany Griner, and they're going to give you 9 years for having a gram of marijuana in your suitcase. But yeah, I mean, it's not favorable. The numbers are not favorable because, believe it or not, Lubie, and this is hard to fathom. I remember looking at a grand jury and had to testify in front of a grand jury, and I thought these look like the rejected extras from the auditions for Welcome Back, Kotter. Like, do you really want these people deciding your fate?
Well, let me ask you: when the case was involving you, you had to go in front of the grand jury, right?
Yeah.
My brother didn't. They didn't have him go.
Yeah.
They didn't have him.
Well, they want to. It's not necessarily favorable though, because all the prosecution is trying to do in that case is lock you into certain answers, and they try to make you commit to a platform that probably would lead to you. Being forced to either plead guilty or, likely being found guilty in court. They're not doing you any favors by putting you in front of a grand jury in your own case. Trust me. It's not like the grand jury is going to sit there and listen to your legitimate side of the story and go, oh, you know what? What a great guy. Doesn't work that way, man. And nobody wins. And the truth is, that's why it's so weird. I mean, all this Hunter Biden stuff. Any lawyer will tell you that if the prosecutors, form a grand jury, they can indict a pencil. They'll hold up a pen and say, they can indict this pen.
Yeah.
The grand juries always come out in the prosecutor's favor. It's very rare that you don't see a grand jury proceed with some kind of charges once brought by the prosecution. Maybe I've seen a few examples where that hasn't been the case recently, so maybe that whole philosophy is changing. But people in general, Lubie, with everything that's gone on in government, tend to believe the government is doing the right thing. And, that's not favorable for the person that's a target of whatever investigations they're having. But it's amazing that they could nail your brother and, yet nothing is happening at the highest levels there. Like Roger Stone is still walking around. And, I guess this, was it the Oath Keeper guy that finally pled guilty? I would imagine he'll be singing like a canary pretty soon, other than face the 5 years. So a lot of that's coming to a head. But you would think that they would invest more of their time in along those lines and not necessarily mess with a guy that obviously has had his documented share of problems. All right, we're coming back with more. Wow, I mean, what a day. Unbelievable, Lubie. I thought it was just going to be a lot of fun, laughing about that game last night, getting a couple of picks. Maybe getting a racing form out there. I'm sure Mike Mayo's going to be all over the Keeneland card today because he loves that sort of stuff. And, so you have opening day there, which is really a cathedral of thoroughbred racing. Not every race there is something that you would say should go in the archives of thoroughbred racing history. But this weekend, I think in particular, and starting today, they have like 11 stakes races or something. I mean, really an illustrious bunch of horses going a higher level of quality than usual, which is usually pretty good because it's such a unique period of time in thoroughbred racing. The 3 weeks twice a year at Keeneland Racecourse. So that starts today. A lot of college football on the slate tonight also. And, of course, Saturday. And we'll get into that with Mark Lawrence and also Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, as we continue here on the show. Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. What a great place to go.
I need Jimmy Johnson.
You need it badly. Wow. You have to take the family down there, Lubie, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill.
Oh, my God. I'm dreaming of that freaking pizza. Oh, my God.
I'd be dreaming of a cocktail. I like, me, I like to lean on the wall against the pool in the corner there with a cocktail ready to go there, just right by my side. I could do that all day at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Great time to be watching all of the college and pro football action over the weekend. You have the Dolphins and the Jets, a dreaded, hated, and heated rivalry. And so that'll be a lot of fun to catch at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. They have a sports bar there, and yet pretty much the entire place is conducive to watching your favorite games on TV. That whole tiki bar outside is fantastic. Restaurant situation that is really unique because it's casual and chic at the same time. And, it's kind of like Key Chic, where you can sit there in a pair of shorts and flip-flops and enjoy some of the finest seafood and all kinds of dishes that are created by Dominic and Jemmy there out of the kitchen. He does a tremendous job, really dedicated. Amanda, his wife, is a GM over there, and they really pay strict attention to making sure that every customer is satisfied and gets the ultimate in customer service at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Not necessarily always the case. I mean, while you'll put up with it in the Keys because it's a Keys, Lubie, does it not get annoying after a while? Hey, yo, you guys open? Can I get a drink over here? You don't want to, get to that point. It kind of disrupts the entire vibe of being down there and, concept of chilling out. Great. Grounds. You're going to love it right there on the Bay side. Mile marker 104, the overseas highway. Terrific food and drink, all kinds of stuff. Make it part of your itinerary if you're on a visit to the Keys or if you're planning a trip down there. Make sure you put a big ring around Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104, the overseas highway in Key Largo as a destination of choice. All right, we're coming back with more. Mark Lawrence going to join us in a little while, and also Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet. I'm Jeff DeForest. A stressed out Mike Lubitz today. First, you had to send Ken the text, the professor, hey, can you tone it down a little bit? Because if he's warning me, then I know that this stuff is going to be over the top.
There's a reason he's warning us. Like, he knows. Like, he pushes it. That's the whole point of it. We love him pushing the envelope.
Yeah.
Even he knows there's places he can go. So it is what it is.
What exactly what constitutes the boundaries of good taste?
I guess Nazi.
What would you say, Libby?
I guess Nazis is really our limit because otherwise we really don't care.
I started to say before. I mean, I've been misunderstood in some of my comments, right? And I've had
Jews yell at us. We've had Jews yell at us. I'm like,
yeah.
Believe me,
you were the one handling those calls
every year. I go to Pat. Believe me, I'm Jewish.
Yeah.
Relax. It's like relax.
I'm very proud to be of the Jewish persuasion. No problem with that. I enjoy it very much. But at the same time, I mean, if you can't make fun of yourself, what is the point of living this life, Lubie? If you can't laugh at yourself. By the way, I was in a very strange environment for me and my standards yesterday. I used to do more of this, but not really by choice. You had to kind of drag me into it. I always felt uncomfortable slightly in these situations, even, in the most favorable of circumstances where, maybe even you were being honored. That made me even more uncomfortable. But at a very fancy schmancy country club banquet yesterday, Libby. And wow, there was all kinds of cash there. It was amazing. I wish, I told my friend, I said, listen, get a bunch of cards printed up that you're a plastic surgeon and pass them out to everybody here. And I guarantee you'll get laid 3 times before they serve the salad. It was that kind of crowd, man. A lot of collagen. There was a woman there that she had to have more juice in her system than Sammy Sosa. It was pretty amazing. And, after a while, doesn't that stuff, it has a negative impact, doesn't it? If you live, you don't want to outkick your coverage. You don't want to outlive, the Botox and the collagen injections. It's like Joan Rivers time, man. I mean, for a lot of these people, it's kind of sad to see. But man, I mean, it was just laced with wealth. This entire banquet, they had a deal. They were auctioning off. Now, it was all for a very good cause, right? Cancer research, and Tony Segreto would probably know this guy. The president of Nova Southeastern University gave a little speech there, and he was a strange cat, Lubie. These guys that are into fundraising, they're in another world, right? And they're dealing with a whole different financial sector than, say, you or I would find if we were gathering at some pari-mutuel facility or, in a poker tournament. It's a different type of wealth, Lubie. So somebody bid $8,000 to have a guy from Dancing with the Stars, one of the pros, not even one of the guys that you might even know, who's been like featured frequently on Entertainment Tonight, like a scrub pro from Dancing with the Stars, to have this guy show up at your house and give you like a dance lesson, $8. $8, and it was like they were bidding on the first fold from Secretariat or something. It turned out not to be all that great of a stud. Wow, I mean, and the bidding escalated quickly. I've conducted those auctions. I think have you ever been around when I had to do one of those charity auctions? It's actually how I met Leslie Visser, was by conducting a charity auction for her brother, who was putting it together, Chris. But there's nothing worse than when it's a crowd of stiffs, and you can't generate. Okay, I'll start the bidding here. You've got like a trip to Napa Valley, with a 2-week stay at some fancy, expensive, place, and you got the opening bid is like $50, and you can't get 55. This was just the opposite. I mean, it went from like a dime to 8,000 in a couple of seconds there, and I'm thinking, I don't know that I want these guys to show up. I would pay 8,000 to keep them away. That's for sure. All right, we're coming back with more in a moment. Lubie's under stress. I'm feeling good. Triple Degenerate Friday. Mark Lawrence going to join us here with his trend handicapping, which I don't know what theory he's going to have today. And Mike Mayo later on. I don't know how Mayo feels about banquet food. What do you think?
That's a good question. We've never really talked about it. We've never really talked about like a wedding or banquet or an event food, actually.
What's your general opinion? I mean, are you usually disappointed in banquet food?
I usually expect it to be, me, I'm happy it's free because it's usually open bar and free food, but I never have high expectations.
No. I usually plan on not eating, and like we did at your wedding, we ended up at Church's Fried Chicken. All right, coming back with more here on the Defo Show on a Degenerate Friday in a moment. Now that.
The time.
Do you have to be depressed to play the under? Do you have to have like clinical depression? In all games, if you always play unders, what do you think, Libby?
Probably.
No optimism, no joy.
Exactly.
You don't want to see them score. Oh, good. Look at that. Hey, did you see that, Joe? Another 3 and out. You had plenty of those last night. It's 8:05.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them, to die, to sleep, no more, and by a sleep to say we end the heartache and 1,000 natural shocks.
What could that have been about except
gambling?
To hedge or not to hedge?
The modern day odd couple, Defo and Lubie, are on now. It is, of course, The Defo Show.
Turning into even more of a spectacular than I could have anticipated. We had an FBI raid on the Lubie household there, which
That's what it was.
I know you take offense to this. My buddy wanted to know, this came from Southern Brian, who loves the show. He's a big fan, and he's a big Lubie fan. He loves you, man. Says, I mean, my dad once said to me a long time ago, and I'll never forget it, and it was probably true. He said, don't lose the polyman. The polyman was always great as a partner, a sidekick, whatever, on any broadcast that I ever did. Even the ones where he was falling apart at the seams, he was still great, right? And for some reason, no matter what was going on in his life, he was one of those performers that the light went on and bingo, he was an entirely different person. And then he went right back into massive depression the minute the show was over. You have these tendencies also, Lubie, although you do have more of a, I'm going to use a cliche here if you don't mind, but you have more of a penchant for wearing your passions on your sleeve, right? People know what's going on in your life. They know when you're upset.
I can't hide. Yeah. What do you mean? What was it? The green-eyed girl said it during Mayo's show, because a lot of the time I'll just sit there and let you guys talk. And
Yeah.
faces. She's like, I love Lubie's faces. And I'm like, it's not on purpose. She's like, no, that's the best part is you can't help yourself. When Mayo starts eating, you make these faces.
I'm beginning to find that among the most gross activities I've ever
You missed it yesterday.
been a part of. Yeah.
God,
He's squirting mayonnaise all over the place. It's hard to believe, it's kind of like Don Shula said about Jim Mad Dog Manich when he got out of his Volkswagen bus at the first practice. And, he had his hair down to his shoulders and peace stickers on the van and everything. And Shula, I mean, think about this. Can you get any more like Lombardi-esque than Don Shula? Honestly. And he looks over at one of his assistant coaches and says, that was the captain of the Michigan football team?
Defo yesterday, Mike Mayo. And I guess he knew you weren't going to be on, so he went for it.
Yeah.
He did noodles, and which isn't a disgusting dish. I'm like, okay, cool. How can you make noodles disgusting?
Yeah.
Well, he spent the whole time slurping them.
Yeah.
He literally would put his mouth to the microphone and slurp.
But don't you think of, the food critic as being some refined gentleman that, is educated in all kinds of different cultures and things, which to, a large degree, Mayo is. That's the weird thing. I don't know where he thought that all of a sudden it was attractive, appealing to people to look like a complete slob, not even like an ordinary slob, right? Where, you squirt a little mustard on your shirt there. That was very common among sports writers. But, he relishes this, to use no pun intended, the way he does that when he just like swipes his finger through like mayonnaise and puts a little dot on his forehead. Like, what is this guy doing? All right, so you say it was particularly gross yesterday?
Yes, he was. On the radio, it probably actually worked for eating. And video, it was entertaining. People hung around and watched it.
Yeah.
But I literally said to him, like, you picked the perfect day to do this because Defo's not here. Because he literally sat there slurping it. Like liquids flying. It's like, what's going on?
90,000 people are tuned into this thing.
I know.
It's crazy, or potentially so. I mean, it shows that people are watching it, like 500-600 people a day tuning in, sometimes more. And that's great. And hopefully, it's a variety of people. But there's access to 90,000, like a captive, interested niche audience of 90,000. And this is what this man chooses to do. It's kind of strange. It really does defy all of the, normal criteria you would associate with somebody that was in that job where you're writing a lot of, kind of flowery language about restaurant life and, what it entails to go out there and have a meal. And it would not have been reflected in any of his writing that this particular element of slob that Mayo likes to be, when it comes to electronic media.
Look, and we talked about it. He is down to earth. He'll eat, food of the common man. But a lot of the times he's eating higher elevated food. He has his palate for wine is very involved, descriptive. The adjectives he used, you and I just sitting all going, wow, the way he described that piece of bacon was amazing. But then he eats. And then you're like, oh, that was a departure.
Yeah. I mean, if you could describe a crab cake as being pretentious, exactly. That's a level of intellect that we don't normally deal in on a Degenerate Friday.
Exactly.
What makes it pretentious?
Oh my God!
Right? What exactly? I mean, what the hell does that mean? I don't even know. But that's the kind of thing you would find in a restaurant review. Well, I found the crab cakes to be rather pretentious. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
The onions were
Did they have a bunch of crab in them or not? How much was filler? What was the price? This is what we want to know. Did the server look like he had just changed the oil in his car before he came to the table?
Exactly.
Or it escaped from federal detention. Yeah, exactly. All right, let's get into this before we get Mark Lawrence here, because I know Jim Sarney says that you threw in the towel in the baseball season a month ago. I think it was longer than that.
Oh, yeah, before the season started. I mean, what are you
and most fans here, because we have no team in South Florida. I'm now in favor of contraction with the the Miami Marlins, as they're now known. If they didn't exist at all, if they took like a year off, to try and rebuild the team, well, wouldn't that be better than playing like out the string and winning like 65, 69 games? I guess they won this year.
Yes.
All right. So instead, a team should just announce it's rebuilding and then not play that following season.
That's the thing. Or it's like
declare themselves out. Yeah.
Like, or let them, like, what is it? Like when the NASCAR had the 20 drivers that made it, they would still have the other drivers race, but it didn't count for anything. Like,
yes.
The Marlins can play and get better, but they don't get wins or losses or anything. There's no bonuses.
They just go out there as an exhibition. Yeah.
They play for experience and that alone. They have no shot at winning. They have no shot at anything.
Occasionally they take on a AAA team, so they can go out there and win a game. That'd be great. But yeah, I mean, it's not surprising, is it, that the Miami Marlins have, in the 5-year rebuilding process, have built their way to like a point that I don't know that they've ever been at before. This constituted kind of an all-time low, did it not? And you did this while having a Cy Young Award winner on your team as your number one starter. Yep. You had a guy win the Cy Young, and your team sucks. Incredible.
Yeah.
After 5 years.
Like he's going to win the Cy Young, right? Like it's pretty much.
I think he wins it. I don't know that there's really much conversation contrary to that. And sometimes you get this general consensus. Rarely are you surprised, right? Because this has been the so-called conversation all year long that Sandy Alcantara was going to win the Cy Young. And he did nothing to dissuade people from having that opinion in his last few starts of the season. He was actually pretty remarkable, pretty much all the way through.
He was really strong.
Yeah, I mean, but he did a lot of things that aren't common anymore among starting pitchers, where he took virtually every start to the 7th inning or longer.
Yep. Well, I think he had like 6 complete games.
Complete games. Think about that, Whitey Ford, Brett. Unbelievable.
I mean, most pitchers, like entire staffs, won't have one complete game.
Yeah.
For an entire season. I think he had like 5. I really do. I think he had like 5.
I think he had 6 complete games. I want to say you're right about that.
I think he did. Like what he did was astounding, and he was surrounded by
super low earned run average. I don't know that it was the lowest in the league, but it was in that ballpark, like 2.35, something like that. A lot of strikeouts. I mean, just
1.28. He was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, so very good. I mean,
second in the NL.
So how do you stink? I mean, you haven't developed one single player. Your man JJ Bleday. Wow, what did he hit? $160 after they brought him up.
Horrible.
$160.
Horrible.
This is a guy they've been developing, waiting in the wings. Wow. I mean, a first-round draft pick. Not baseball teams don't hit on every first-round draft pick for sure, but I mean, how far off can you be? I don't know that he's not going to develop into a really good player, but I mean, you didn't see any evidence of it so far. 0.0. Hitting $160. And that was true of a lot of their guys. I mean, they have maybe 1 or 2 guys that you would want to keep. And that's it.
Jazz Chisholm's turned into a guy that a lot of people, even around baseball, think is already a superstar, if not about to be. But then he was hurt and missed all year.
So why play it all next year? Just say, look, guys, we need another year to get it together. We're really going to be good when we come back in 2024. We're out. For 2023. All right, Tampa Bay does it somehow, although they come crawling. I mean, you talk about. I mean, they're doing one of those things where you watch the Army training and they have to go under the ropes there, and they're crawling on the ground. What was that? Some kind of spider move. 2-9 in their last 11. They go to Cleveland to play best of 3. All 3 games are on the higher seeds home turf, all 3 games, if it goes 3. I'm thinking Cleveland wins that series. No, Lubie? I mean, is that that's not some, overwhelmingly intuitive observation here? Cleveland comes in hot. Tampa Bay comes in ice cold. Does Tampa Bay find a way to win that series? I guess anything can happen, obviously. I mean, it's cliche city, I know. But I'm thinking Cleveland is a hot team there. What do you say? Cleveland over Tampa Bay in that series.
See, that's the thing with the Rays is, look, they're a step better than the A's, where they've actually made a World Series appearance and they've challenged. But I know they've struggled down the stretch. So I just know nothing about the Guardians. So that's my problem. Is I feel weird.
They had a real solid September. I know that. Other than that, I know nothing about the Guardians except that Terry Francona is their manager, and we all like Terry Francona. He was likable when he was with the Red Sox. He's likable with Cleveland. And he just, in general, seems to be a likable guy. In fact, I'm going to show you some real wisdom here, Lubie. I'm going to give you all 4 home teams to win their series. How about that?
There you go. There you go. Mr. Chalk. Look at you, the anti-Mark Lawrence. Mark Lawrence will be sick to his stomach.
We know that's not going to happen. See, that's the beautiful thing about being a gambler. You know that there's no way that happens, that all 4 favorites and home teams win their series. So I guess, the challenge would be, even if you believe that 3 of the 4 are going to prevail, the thing about being a good gambler is, can you pick the one that is not going to happen, if you believe that? So who's strong? I mean, is Seattle strong enough to overcome going to Canada, spending 3 days? Toronto is supposed to be a good city, right? I mean, it's not Montreal.
They're only down to Toronto, and the reason why more people don't want to go there is that the taxes are freaking insane. Like, Toronto supposedly is amazing. Like, supposedly it's a super cool city, young, modern, hip. It's just expensive because of taxes.
Yeah, I've never been there.
I loved it. I haven't been.
A friend of mine from Toronto, total degenerate gambler. I mean, this is one of those guys that, he gets staked into going into some of these handicapping tournaments. But somehow, even if he hits for like 200,000, he still never has any money of his own, because he probably sold off 25 pieces at 20%. So there are a lot of people waiting when this guy comes back to Toronto with the capital. And he has it diverted, of course, into some bank in the Cayman Islands, so it can't be touched for the next 20 years if the government is still intact there by the time he goes to collect. But he said that Montreal is a French ghetto compared to Toronto. That was his characterization. So
it's a bias. I've never heard that.
Kind of quelled my interest in making a visit to Montreal anytime soon. All right. Anyway, the Seattle Mariners, who haven't been in the postseason in 20 years, did they surprise the Toronto Blue Jays? Is that the one? I'm not sure how big of a surprise it would be, but nonetheless,
I don't know.
You have. The Blue Jays are slight favorites in this game today over the Mariners. All of the home teams are favored, including the Mets with Scherzer over the Padres. Maybe they choke at this point. I mean, they blew that 3-game series to Atlanta. Is this where they choke and they lose opening round to the Padres after having what was kind of a Cinderella season for Met fans?
That's the thing. That's my problem with the whole counting your chickens. Whoa, when we get through, we need. It's like, dude, you didn't choke per se, but you didn't finish strong either. The Braves were coming and you didn't fend them off. So why aren't you just going for it?
That's why I'm not sitting there getting cute with DeGrom.
Nope.
Unless there's something wrong with the guy, he's either my game 1 or game 2 starter, and there's no question about it. You guys are going to have to get by Scherzer and DeGrom. And that's going to be it for you, San Diego. At least so we hope. Then you'll worry about the Dodgers later. I mean, you're still going to get a start out of DeGrom in the series, but their desire to try and start this guy twice in a potential 5-game series. I mean, you have to get there first. You always have to think about that. You have to get there first.
Yes.
And I don't know. Buck Showalter, what happened? Did he have a lobotomy? Was he watching that game last night?
I hope not.
Buck, Mr. Baseball. This guy has seams on his forehead. He would be the last guy you would figure. I mean, with this, Norman Schwarzkopf mentality. Let's go get him, guys. Right? Although he doesn't mind, I guess. What? I mean, Aaron Boone is a worse offender of this, but guys not running to first base and stuff like that. This is a real Phil Mushnick pet peeve. You would never think that Buck Showalter would stand for, a guy just kind of jaking it.
Yeah.
Standing there at home plate, posing, and then the ball goes off the wall, and it ends up being a single, and he's like, all right, way to go, Joe. But he would be the last guy you would think would do something stupid like this.
Look, they're playing numbers, percentages, the world we live in, and Dodgers are this juggernaut, and I get it. But the Padres aren't, chopped liver. Like their lineup is loaded, and Juan Soto, for whatever he did all season, this is the time he shined. So you have Machado, Soto, Tatis Jr. This is
no, Tatis is out.
He's out. Is he still hurt? Okay, I know he was.
No,
hurt.
he got suspended 80 games.
Suspension with the PEDs. Okay.
Right.
Well, you have Soto taking Tatis Jr.'s spot, and he was the World Series MVP, and he's a guy that literally this is when he would shine. And Machado, this is what he's there for. And Snell has big game experience. I don't know. I wouldn't take them lightly. I'll tell you that right now.
No, and Darvish was pitching really well. I mean, I thought he was washed up. He looked like a completely shot fighter, didn't he? A couple of years ago.
Oh yeah,
Darvish.
Yeah.
But he came on strong at the end of the season. As far as I can remember, every time I saw his name on a crawl there, associated with a Padres game, he was going like 6 2/3 and pitching, 1-run balls. So, anyway, that's the thing, though. I'm going to give you all the chalk. Is Mark Lawrence even going to come on if I give out all the chalk here?
I don't know. I'm not. I'm scared to tell him. I might do what we do with the professor, where if I warn him, then he won't come. So,
the question is, who chokes, and would it be considered a choke? Most likely to choke, I guess, would be the question. So some of these series loom to be pretty even. I'm going to say too that the Mets are most likely to choke because of this bizarre thinking of theirs, and we don't know. I mean, which one of these, which one of these sides of Max Scherzer is going to show up in this thing? Usually you're thinking, okay, this is money in the bank, but not so much in that big game that he had to face off. Both of those guys, lost to the Atlanta Braves in that crucial series, which now finds them in this spot where they have to fend off San Diego just to get to the Dodgers, and they're already out thinking themselves right out of the playoffs. All right, we're coming back with Mark Lawrence. We'll get some college and pro picks. Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, joins us later on in the program. A Degenerate Friday here on South Florida Live. Glad to have you guys with us. If you want some other selections, our Believe podcast yesterday was a classic with Brandon Lang.
See, that's the thing is he pushes the limits, but for some reason it's more. Again, that's the one place we just don't go. We'll go any other place because the stuff Brandon Lang does is stuff that I would not be happy with on terrestrial radio.
I've received enough, I mean, even though I know that we're just joking, right? I mean, that's pretty much it. You've received enough, people saying that this was wildly insensitive to say, oh, okay, maybe we'll let that go, right? Even though I thought that they were misguided in their criticism. Would you agree that that's true? Where you start reading letters about, hey, how could you say this and how could you say that? I usually don't pay a whole lot of attention to it, but I don't know. The Nazi thing really, does take it out into another dimension. All right, we're coming back with Mark Lawrence, and he is totally diplomatic in his selections, but he'll give us 4 dogs. Ask him if he's still okay with coming on if I give out all the home teams in the baseball.
Again, I'm scared to do that because I feel like he won't then come on, and we want Mark Lawrence. So
you know that's not going to happen. I mean, it's impossible, right? I mean, would you think? There's no way it comes out like that, is there? That all of the favorites prevail in these series, all home teams. They can't possibly be the case. So where do you spot the biggest chance of an upset? That would be the question. All right, back with more in a moment here on a Degenerate Friday. Now that time 8:26. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. You know, since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
How many gamblers did I bail out last weekend with my game of the year? $100 better made $10,000. A $500 better made $50,000. Well, I got 6 games on Sunday that I'm releasing absolutely free. These games are a burial, a blowout, a human lock. You can bet your unborn children on these 6 games. Absolutely.
I believe.
We now return to the Defo Show.
Welcome back to the show, a Degenerate Friday. Jeff DeForest, Mike Lubie. Lubitz, a couple of comments here before we get to Mark Lawrence from our chat line that got my attention. We always appreciate this. Andy says, Juan Soto, Russell Wilson, Herschel Walker, who had the worst last 3 months? Julian tells us Soto hasn't signed his contract yet, that he turned down $400 million. He's still looking. The lovely Rosalina, a huge Hurricanes fan and a big fan of what we do, and we certainly appreciate that, says that's racial profiling. I guess you mentioned that, Mike Lubie Libitz, where, they stop like Grant Long because he's a black guy driving a Mercedes in Michigan, somewhere on the outskirts of Detroit. And many other things have come to light here. Courtesy of our chat line. The Guardians, is this true, have a $30 million lower payroll than the Rays, who are notorious for being on the cheap?
He got it from somewhere.
I would have to imagine that that's a fact. And, the Mets obviously trying to position themselves, where they would have Jacob deGrom starting game 1 against the Dodgers. I believe that is always a bad move to go with a premature evaluation that you're going to get there in the first place. All right, we welcome to the show the ultimate professional handicapper, just a tremendous job. The database he developed years ago, way ahead of its time. I mean, this guy was Bill James before Bill James was born. When Bill James was banging cheerleaders, this man was already established in the numerology business when it comes to sports and being able to quantify things for gambling purposes. We welcome the great Mark Lawrence of PlaybookSports.com to the program. Mark, how are you, my friend?
Doing pretty good, Defo. Had a little tough time waking up this morning. I think I took too much of the maximum strength Z-Quil last night. I either did that or I watched the football game last night. it just put me to sleep.
I mean, are you in general an underplayer? Do you find that underplayers are also, could easily be characterized as being clinically depressed? Because they're rooting for stuff like last night to happen.
Yeah, they are. They're the hardcore people that don't care about having to have action on a game or a lot of excitement and whatnot. Bookkeepers is what they are, basically, just bookkeepers. And people who play underdogs also bet unders in football games. So I guess that goes hand in hand with what happened last night.
So you were hammering the under, is what you're saying. I mean, because you had to feel literally like doing a Kazatsky in the first quarter, because you could see that this was going to be offensive dreck throughout the entire ball game. But yeah, I always think of the underplayer, as the guy, you're at the craps table and it's rocking, and somebody's held the dice for like 25 minutes, and everybody's got like chips galore coming out of the off the table there, and then the guy comes in and plays a don't pass line and hits. And you're like, uh-oh. and he's always standing there with a look on his face. And then as soon as that second seven comes up, or, the seven comes up in the roll, he's like, got that look on his face. And then he takes his money and walks away, and that's it. But anyway, that was an underplayer's dream last night. How bad are the Denver Broncos? I mean, this is there some numerical, data on this that would, imply, give any accountability for what the hell's going wrong with this team?
Well, it's obviously offense. The defense is pretty rock solid, and Daniel Hackett is really having a difficult time adapting a playbook, a game plan into their offense, and it's next to pathetic. I mean, what we see, they go into the game, they're like the 20th ranked offense, but our eyes tell us what we see, and we see something totally different here. We see a Denver offense that's completely lost right now. The fans are walking out of the football game in overtime.
Wow.
It's even decided they're walking out of the game. That was incredible just to see that.
And Denver, no less. I mean, where, you would say, it's true of a lot of NFL cities, but, they have been as faithful and loyal. They still think John Elway is coming back to play quarterback for him. And it was interesting. I was saying earlier, Mark Lawrence, the people from Walmart bought the team, and it looks like they bought it at Walmart. With what they're getting right now, including, I don't know that overpricing is one of their characteristics, but certainly with the money they're paying Russell Wilson, they're not, looking like they're going to get 5 years worth of productivity out of this guy at any kind of a level other than dreadful. All right, let's get into some plays here for this week. How'd you make out last week, Mark Lawrence?
He was 1-2-1.
All right.
One quick comment here about the Denver Broncos before we move on here is, you mentioned the Denver Broncos, and they were just bought for some ridiculous price. I know what was it?
$4.5 billion, I believe. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, was it Rob Walton, one of the Walton family members? But I remember seeing the conference when they announced that he took over the team, and he personally wanted to thank Roger Goodell for walking into the National Football League. So, if you've got an owner that doesn't know who the boss is and know how to pronounce his name, there is something wrong going on in Denver these days. Correct. Sorry about
Fortunately, that was drowned out for many by, somebody that was on a loudspeaker saying, clean up on aisle 2, clean up on aisle 2. And I guess, look, it seems like in the NFL, no matter what number you pay, you can't lose. All right, what number to play is really the key for us, Mark Lawrence, and very interesting. I was snake bit in a game last week where, and you can appreciate this, Tulane, I believe, was an underdog to Houston. Houston, I think, was laying 2 and a hook. And so, it ends up, it's a 4th and goal with no time left in the ball game. Tulane has a ball at about the 3-yard line. And it looks like nothing's happening on this play, and Houston's going to win by 7. And the guy throws a shovel pass, and they go in for a score. And then, of course, lose in overtime as Tulane scores a touchdown. But it was an atrocious way to lose a game if you were playing the favorites. You probably, were delighted. But it seems like a lot of games have ended in a similar fashion, both in colleges and the pros when it comes to the number.
Yeah, it's been that way this year, Defo. I think it's storybook finishes so far in both college and National Football League. And will it continue? Probably so. I hope so. It's good for the game, but it's not good for you when you're holding the wrong side of a ticket in a game like that. I'm telling you. It's,
that's when you just eat. You actually eat the paper if you have a printed ticket on that game, right? You just put it in your mouth and shovel it down with a beer. Did we lose Mark Lawrence?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, there you go.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
Very good. All right, Mark, let's get into it. Let's get into the college and pro plays for this week.
Okay, we're going to look at college football at that time of the year, this specific week of the year. We're going to fade our famous 5-0 Fat Cats.
5-0 Fat Cats. I like this theory. All right.
5-0 Fat Cats, yeah. They open up the season 5-0. They oftentimes find real trouble in Game 6, especially when they're favored. But then there's a caveat on the other side of that equation. When you open up 5-0 and you're an underdog, you are a good 5-0 Fat Cat dog. So we're going to play one of each of those this particular week.
All right.
The first one we're going to open up with is the 5-0 Fat Cat dog. We'll play on Kansas, taking 7 points against TCU. Undefeated Jayhawks right now having a tremendous football season. Probably the biggest story in college football this year is Kansas being undefeated at this stage of the season. Lance Leipold, by the way, came over from Buffalo. And this guy, if you look at his record that he had in college football before he took the job at Buffalo, it was almost like out of science fiction. The guy was like 112-12
wow.
In the NAIA where he coached. The guy knows how to coach, and we're seeing that with Kansas here right now. And what you've got here in TCU, their opponent coming in here, they're off of a big upset win over Oklahoma last week. And you'll oftentimes find teams in the Big 12 that upset Oklahoma tend to not show up the following week. With game day being at Kansas, the crowd will be geeked to the max. I mean, there'll be a lot of people that'll be leaving that stadium not being able to pass a sobriety test. All the fans that'll be in attendance there. It will help the Kansas Jayhawks in this game. I think Kansas plus the 7 beats TCU and moves on to 6-0 this season.
All right, you're not alone in that opinion. Most of the handicappers that I've seen so far are inclined to go in the very same direction. All right, so Kansas, and this is the 5-0 Fat Cat theory being applied to a dog in this situation. All right, what's the next one up? I'm curious.
Well, the other one, we're going to fade a 5-0 Fat Cat favorite this week. And we're going to fade Southern Cal and play Washington State plus the points against the Trojans. First of all, the Trojans have a big football game on deck with Utah next week. Utah wins the Pac-12 championship last year. A much bigger game for Southern Cal than are the Cougars from Washington State who come in here. And you look inside the series here, or you look at Washington State, the last 7 times they've been on the road as a double-digit road dog against an undefeated opponent. They've won the money all 7 times, which tells you that the teams play down to their level, which is a mistake going into a football game like this. Washington State has triple revenge in this football game in Southern Cal. Their last 7 home games against opponents that have that same triple revenge are only 1-6 against the spread. I think this has got the makings of a possible upset here. I'll play Washington State plus 13 points against Southern Cal.
I think I fell asleep, not because the game was like last night's, but just because of the time element when USC was playing Arizona State, I believe, last week. And, were, I think, heavily favored in that ball game. It may not have been heavily, but that game seemed far more competitive than I would have anticipated with the ascent and the fact that Lubie has given USC his blessing as his sleeper team to win the championship. They looked like they were half asleep, throughout a lot of that game.
I said to make the playoffs, but yes, I am behind USC firmly. Yes.
All right. Well, they're faded this week by Mark Lawrence. All right, so those are the college plays, and I love the theory. What do we have in the pros? Mark Lawrence of PlayWeekSports.com.
Two plays NFL card this week. We're going to go to the BODs, better offensive and defensive dogs that have huge edges in the rushing game this week. And we'll be playing, first of all, with the Cleveland Browns, taking 2.5 against the L.A. Chargers, who come into Cleveland playing number 1, a 1 o'clock Eastern time zone start, which is 10 a.m. body clock their time. That's never real good for West Coast teams.
Yeah.
Looking inside the numbers here, what the Browns do best, the Chargers do worst. And that's the Browns run the football, 5 yards a carry. The Chargers give it up 5.4 yards a carry. That's called a 5-by-5 dog. Yes, that's a pretty steep dog to the Cleveland Browns, who also, by the way, just happened to be one of only 4 teams in the National Football League this year that have won the yards in every game they played. The Cleveland Browns have. They could well be 4-0 this season if a couple of breaks had gone their way. And you've also got Chargers limping in here. They've just allowed season-high yardage in each of their last 2 football games this is not a defensive juggernaut by any means, the Chargers. And I think the Browns grind out the win here and avenge last year's 45-42 loss against that barn burner loss to the Chargers last year. Cleveland plus the 2.5 for my first play.
All right, very bold stand there with the Cleveland Browns. Most people would see that game on the slate and immediately assume that the Chargers were the superior team. And what else do you have for us on the pro slate, Mark Lawrence?
But we're going to make it an all Ohio 2-teamer, and we're going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals in this football game here, taking 3.5 against Baltimore, a team that is also has some Exxon Valdez leaking oil problems going on. The Baltimore Ravens. They've lost the yards in each of their last 4 football games. In fact, all 4 football games Baltimore has. They've also lost 5 consecutive straight home games in a row. There's problems in Baltimore right now. And it's not just Lamar Jackson. I think it's more on the sidelines than anything with what's going on with the program here. And you're talking about Cincinnati with almost 100 yards the better defense in this contest. They're taking 3.5 points. The hook got me here, Defo here. Cincinnati plus the 3.5 for our second bod on Sunday's NFL football card.
It did appear, and I don't know if it was just the circumstances with the Dolphins having been on the field for 90 plays defensively just a few days prior, but it did appear that Cincinnati found a way to alleviate some of that massive pressure that Joe Burrow was throwing under in the first 3 games of the season. They were using some quick pass plays, maybe to lighten things up a little bit. I don't know. I know how effective their running plays were in the game, but it seemed like Burrow at least was not, being harassed like Matt Ryan was in the ball game last night. So maybe that bodes well for Cincinnati in this one as well. All right, playbooksports.com, all kinds of good stuff there, including, I would imagine, you have the baseball playoffs handicapped, and we've got preseason basketball, hockey going on. Where can people get more of your information, Mark Lawrence from Playbook Sports?
Well, interestingly, Defo, you talked about the Cleveland Guardians before we came on the air, or while we were on the air, and not only are they the team that has the lightest payroll of all the playoff teams, but they've won 26 of their last 30 games coming into the playoffs here. There's no line right now. The Guardians, they're playing very, very, very good baseball right now. So they could warrant a nice looking mid-price size ticket to win the American League pennant here. I happen to be from Cleveland, but I also happen to like the Guardians as their chances in this game. What I'm doing here is this weekend, I've got a big weekend on tap, a big game in the National Football League. My Major League Baseball playoffs are all part of the package. You can pick it up all online at playbooksports.com, where you can also pick up our weekly newsletters, the newsletter, the midweek alert, and the totals tip sheet, everything all available at playbooksports.com.
All right, very good. And Tampa Bay comes in reeling. Actually, I mean, they were awful down the stretch. I think to the tune of 2-9 in their last 11. So, maybe does bode well for Cleveland also. All right, thank you, Mark, so much for being with us. It's always a pleasure, my friend.
My pleasure, as always, guys. You guys have a great weekend. Be well and stay safe.
Good luck,
Lawrence. All right, thanks so much. Mark Lawrence. PlaybookSports.com. All right, the Gambling Gourmet coming up in just a few minutes here on the show. I'm Jeff DeForest. He is Mike Lubitz. We're going to be on the road today, Lubie tells me, with the Mike Mayo Lunchbox program, where you would think in a public setting it would be less disgusting than he is. What is it about him when he's in that home studio of his?
He's worse. He's worse, but he's not better at home. He's worse. He's not worse at home. He's worse on the road. What do you mean?
Julian says when he put his finger in the fish there at Even Keel. Yeah, that was in public.
At home, he actually has decorum. Where he ate the chicken sandwich from Chef Free Eats, where it was dripping, public.
Yeah.
The top round where he grabbed that burger.
How about at Tom Tanazzini's joint public. There at Nobo, when he took that muffaletta that was the size, of a small planet. Shoveled it in there. I mean, it was amazing.
What do you mean the sandwich at Grandpa's where he actually squirted? He's like, "Oh, thanks for the mustard." Squirted it on his finger and licked it.
Other customers there were taking cover, and it was weird. You almost have to put like a tarp over the entire section next to Mayo. All right, we'll see what happens today. Anyway, he's coming up here in just a few minutes. I would imagine he'd have some Keeneland picks. I hope he does, because thinking about going out there and making a couple of punches today just to get in the spirit of things. Back with Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, here on the Defo Show in a moment. Now that. 8:46.
folks. Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Recently we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752. Would you go into court without an attorney? So why would you go up against an insurance company without Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa? 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Give them a call at 954-809-8752. Why go up against insurance companies alone when you can have Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa on your side?
He'll fight Brian Cox in the locker room. He'll challenge Bill Parcells to a verbal shout out. He'll stare down Johnny Chan while holding pocket twos.
And then he goes
Mike
to
Mayo,
the London
Gambling
Business
Gourmet.
School for the savants.
How about that? Yeah.
I will crush
London
your
School
hopes
of
and
Finance.
dreams with it.
Mike
Oh,
Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet, joins us here.
I do all those things, and I also crush your hopes and dreams with a 3-word text giving you the bad news about game one.
Well, this was particularly brutal, and Michael, I thank you for doing that.
The modern day odd couple, Defo and Lubie, are on now. It is, of course, the Defo Show.
Doesn't mind pointing out right away that you're a loser, which, most gamblers are aware of, Lubie. Do you need one of your buddies to rub it in when, one of your proposition bets has, not just gone up in smoke, but maybe gone right up your ass? And you're thinking, who's going to be the first one to tell me that I'm an asshole, that I'm a loser?
I'm that guy.
I'm that guy. I'm that guy.
Oh, that's me.
The Prince of Darkness, Mike Mayo, joins us here, also known as the Gambling Gourmet. Michael, how are you? Are you all
I'm
right?
okay. I think I'm doing better than everybody else. Boy, what a morning. I mean, you've got you feuding with the professor. You've got...
I wasn't really feuding. I don't know. How do you feel about Nazi material?
No, I mean, look,
an overwhelming amount of it.
You've got to call the shots. If it goes over the line, I really want to see that now. That's the thing.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I kind of know the general theme.
No, not under your auspices, but now I want to see banned on the Defo show. That the professor has to put this out on his own YouTube channel or something like that.
No doubt, yeah.
Millions of hits.
It'll be a big hit. I mean, the fact that he made it controversial, I think, will help. Yeah,
and unfortunately, it'll probably get a huge following among the Oath Keepers and Proud Boys. And they'll use it as recruiting.
Well, they're
material.
all going to be doing time anyway, so he'll be big in prisons.
Speaking of that, I'm sorry to hear about Lubie and your brother. We discussed the particulars of the case. I've been instructed by attorneys not to mention any details. But look, I feel for you because I don't, to get serious for a moment. I also had an older brother who battled mental illness through his whole life, and he had his scrapes with the law. Fortunately, everything, and he did some crazy stuff too, and he's no longer with us, my brother David, and he had schizophrenia. But sometimes people who have mental illness do things that are either socially bizarre, or sometimes, yes, if you follow the letter of the law, criminal, but you got to divine the intent, and did it really mean it, and all that stuff. And this is an unfortunate situation. Hopefully it all works out. You just hope that somewhere along the way, somebody shows some discretion. I'm surprised it got to this point. It's sad.
Look, and I won't talk more about it, but there's, I guess, witnesses saying things happen. And I understand in this world, witnesses matter. But to me, I thought there was a lot more that went into what is going on here. I've watched
prosecutorial discretion. If somebody has
a
history of mental illness and yet no history of any criminal behavior or violent behavior, you would.
Well, and I get it. Look, you get scared with mental illness, and I get it. But if he's mentally ill and has never been violent, isn't that okay? Look, he has a reason,
and that's the big. Again, mental illness is so stigmatized and so misunderstood. 90% of people who have mental illness are never violent in their lives, and they're docile. In fact, they are mostly victims in the world, that they are the victims of violent acts and abuse and things like that. Yet somehow, because I hate to say the few bad apples spoil the bunch, but when you do have people who are also violent and combination with it. Anyway, this is way too heavy for this show. Let's talk about some horses and stuff.
Yeah, geez. Keeneland opening day today, Mike Mayo.
Well, no, and first I must discuss to everybody with Defo. We've got a morning breakfast here.
You're going to some joint today with the show.
Yes, are you joining us today? Are you?
You know what? I would like to. I mean,
that sounds
I'm
like
not
an
sure
excuse.
how optional it is. Well, I have some stuff to do up at this end of town. So,
Defo, I had the whole day planned out. It was going to be. It's at the Bake Shack. This is my local. Keith, great guy, originally from Queens, New York. He started off as a bagel baker, and then he became a refined, really renowned pastry chef. And he opened this breakfast lunch joint. Great donuts and pastries and stuff like that. And finally going to make his debut. And then I figured right afterwards, right around the corner, a casino on Dania Beach Boulevard, we could just waltz in there and just start plunging away on Keeneland.
Unfortunately, scheduled to meet a guy before 2:00 at a northern point. Mm-hmm. So that would make it a little bit prohibitive. I was unaware, though, that you had this planned. I guess you had mentioned it. Now, is this from the Bake Shack? This looks like macaroni and cheese with a tomato on it or something.
No. This is from our friends at Grandpa's. This is some of the leftovers from my break.
Oh, that's a bagel you're holding up there?
Okay, I don't know why anybody can't get it. This is a pumpernickel bagel. Do you know what a pumpernickel bagel is?
There's no question, yeah.
Well, yeah,
I'm a fan of pumpernickel bagels, I would have to say.
And I don't think there's anything prettier in the world than egg salad. Now, this is my own egg
salad.
Oh,
gross. This is what you're going to eat here on the air? My God.
Yeah, with a tomato, sprinkled with
why don't you just get like some whitefish salad also? And
I have that in the fridge, but to me, there's nothing better than egg salad. It just looks pretty. Look at the contrast.
Oh, it's disgusting. What are you talking about?
Now, here's a philosophical question for you, Defo.
Yeah. Could you just possibly table that till the end of the show?
No, I'm going to eat it. But my question is, how do you tell if you've when you toast a pumpernickel bagel, how do you tell if it's done or burnt or underdone?
That's a
time. That's a time element there. Yeah, I don't think you need to worry about it. I mean, it would be consistent with other bagels that you were toasting. So whatever time you put the toaster oven on, I would do the same with a pumpernickel bagel.
I got it right. It's not burnt. It's a nice crunch.
All right. So what's the point here? I mean, that you're eating egg salad as a prelude to eating a giant lunch. I mean, the main reason that I come to these remotes is mostly because I need to keep you in line at some point and reel you in. Otherwise, I think you would spend the entire hour just chomping down on all of the food that the people put out. Which have you noticed too that it exceeds, each one now exceeds the previous one in terms of the outlay of food, because they know it's going to take a lot to satisfy you, Mike Mayo.
Yes, it has become a game of can you top this? And I can't wait to see what kind of a donut and pastry array there'll be today at Bake Shack. And they're also known for their Doughboy sandwich, where you slice open a glazed donut and you put an egg and some other material.
See, I don't need that at this stage of my life.
No,
I want to live.
Oh, no, you definitely don't need it, but I want to try it.
It's Ida Lupino time, man. I want to live. I mean, I don't know if you remember that movie.
I'm eating this pumpernickel bagel, and now I'm reminded, because I don't have a lot of pumpernickel. This one is loaded with caraway seeds. I don't know how you feel about caraway seeds.
I'm not a big pumpernickel guy.
I could live without them. Yeah.
Right now, I'm kind of regretting.
Yeah, you're as disappointing as this game last night. I mean, I'm going to need a lobotomy to get through this segment here. What are you doing, Mike Mayo? Well, you have the under. You're probably an under player because you have like kind of an Undertaker sort of approach to life.
No, remember
where like everyone is eventually going to come here and get embalmed.
Remember, I got buried the other week because I did the freaking teaser with the Dolphins versus the Bills, and I went over on that, and all they needed was a stinking 46, and the game ended up at whatever it was, 40.
If ever, though, there was a game where you're looking at two teams that absolutely leave a stench offensively, and had given evidence of that prior to the ball game last night, with no reason to believe all of a sudden they were going to ignite some kind of offensive spark with Matt Ryan, who looks like a shot fighter, and Russell Wilson, who looks like a very expensive shot fighter. I mean, Russell Wilson looked like Gennady Golovkin in that fight against Canelo, this last one where he just went in there, picked up a paycheck. It was an atrocious ball game. But if ever you were going to bet an under, that looked like the game. 43 was the total.
It was going in. Even you yesterday, I think, said that you have
neither team
interest
scores
in the game. Neither team scores, so it looked obvious. You know what's interesting to me though is that we got now this Thursday night football has been transferred to Amazon Prime,
right?
And God knows how many people get Amazon Prime. I was able to find it again. I have to use my Fire Stick instead of my usual thing. That was later at night, but I was traveling around actually earlier in the evening, and I'm amazed now how many restaurants and bars have not bought the package. That basically a lot of places, and I wonder, overall, just among the general public, it's not as widely disseminated as an NFL Network or an ESPN or what was the other? CBS had a bunch of the Thursday night games that they were showing for a while, right? So I think the NFL is like in its pursuit of greed and the almighty dollar. It might be a short-term gain for a long-term loss in terms of you're going to be alienating more people. And like I drove around. First, I picked up a pizza. Well, not a pizza. It was a chicken parm hero last night at a place in Dania. And their TV, unfortunately, was turned to Fox News, but they didn't have the game on.
And you still went in?
Well, yeah, I'm not one of those people. Like they make a damn good chicken parm. My
okay, all right.
Friends at Antonio's Pizza. I like when I get knocked out of a poker tournament, it's on the way home. So that was it. That's what
they only serve right wings, and when you order a bunch of chicken wings.
Look, I don't know why places put on any of those partisan news channels, but they didn't have a football game on. That was my point. And then I drove past another spot on my way home, the Fish Grill that has a huge bar area that always is tuned to sports.
That looks like a decent spot. How is that?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, they do a very solid job in the same way that Fish Shack up in Lighthouse Point just does a good job, with basic
nice, simple
food items, simple. Same thing with Fish Grill down in Dania, and they have a really good bar area where, like, if some nights I'll just go in there at the bar, sit alone, and Bill is the bartender there. He's a good guy. But all their TVs was like the Lifetime movie of the week. Well, like it was just showing.
That's not a good thing if your spouse, girlfriend, or is watching a lot of Lifetime channel. She is planning her death. There's no question.
But the point is, all these places that typically would be showing sports did not show a football game.
Oh, really? Because now I thought that this was what my perception was that if you ever ordered anything from Amazon, you get Amazon Prime.
That might be
like you could order like a $6 item from Amazon, get it delivered, and then that qualifies you to get
You have to be an Amazon Prime member, which I think is, I don't know what it's up to now, $125 a year. It used to be.
Oh, really? Okay.
$1 a month.
Well, I'm all of that. Through the Mustang.
I am not an Amazon Prime member. My ex-wife Michelle is, so I glom onto her Amazon Prime account.
There you go. Poaching a racing form. Yeah, nice.
But, yeah, exactly. But it's.
Can I see your form there? I just want to look at Keeneland here for a second, and then the next thing you know, the guy's gone.
So, but no, for individuals, if you have Amazon Prime, you get the channel. But for businesses, it's like anything else. They charge an arm and a leg to have the rights to show it in a commercial setting. Pat Utter, our friend at Shenanigans, he bit the bullet and he subscribed to the Thursday night package because he needs it for his two businesses. But some of the smaller places that aren't necessarily known as sports bars, they're forsaking it. And that's interesting to me. It just shows you that people are willing to say no to football and say no to high prices. So we could be at a turning point. Now, speaking of
show this one game, it's funny too because you would figure bars would be very much inclined to have this game on because it was likely with a lot of people being shut out that people would venture out. to find someplace that had the game televised.
And
The worst is when you think a place is showing like a pay-per-view event, like they'll say, "Oh yeah, we show all boxing cards," and then you go down there to see some atrocious Mayweather fight, and it turns out that's not the case. It's like $30 to get in.
Right.
I mean, and that might be an option. I can't see where people, if you went to a place and they said, "Hey, it's $5 to come in here and watch the game," would you be inclined to pay it?
I would be more inclined to do a 2-drink minimum, and it would be great for last night's game because that game definitely promoted heavy drinking.
Yeah, you needed heroin to get through that game. I mean,
make it enjoyable. Yeah,
no wonder. I think that's what inspired Biden to let all of these guys off who are in prison right now, incarcerated on marijuana charges. Minor marijuana charges, like possession or whatever. Because I mean, he had to be smoking weed to get through that game himself. Especially with this. You talk about Lubie being under heat with the FBI. How about this Hunter Biden thing? All of a sudden, and I think it
and yet
inspired
the big
Joe
orange
to make
man
this
keeps
decision.
walking around. He could pilfer all the classifieds, top secret documents you want. Walk around.
Who cares? So what if they were top
Scream a couple of things at a polling place. Next thing you know, you got 6 guys in a van coming to take you.
No doubt. All right, do you have any steam for us, Keeneland? Anything?
Well, you
what's going on
mentioned
with you?
daily racing forums and poaching one. I'll have to
Yeah.
because I went to my local 7-Eleven. They usually have the
Sold
forum.
out?
They were sold out of the Friday. I had a whole pile of the Saturdays, so
All right.
I didn't even pick up the Saturday forum because my brother brings me that.
How many
from Wall
copies
Street.
did he usually get? Like 2, 3?
No, they had a pile of like 10
Nice stack?
Saturday
Oh,
forums,
okay.
and I don't know. They just sold out the obviously a lot of interest in the grand opening day of the fall Keeneland meet, which is going to be leading into the Breeders' Cup, also at Keeneland. We tried to talk to the horse whisperer yesterday on the lunchbox, but we had some technical issues.
Oh,
I'm
yeah?
sure she gave out all kinds of winners left and right. It's just we couldn't hear them. So, I was looking. There's great couple of days of racing there, but I guess it's their Breeders' Cup preview weekend. Basically, they've got 11 graded stakes on the cards today and tomorrow, and a lot of good baby races today. I took a quick peek. All right, and first of all, I guess I'm done picking football because I went 1-2 again last week, including my angle
It's
on
not
the.
terrible. You might get hot. You never know.
Well, I'm only going to do one football pick this week, and that's again. I think Notre Dame is back in action, and I just hate them so much. I don't even know what the spread is. I don't know who they're playing, but I'm going against Notre Dame, and my angle of going against the Jets, no matter what, went up in flames last week, and also now this week they're actually in a spot where I like them. I don't like the Dolphins at all going on the road with no Tua. So, if I have to, I would pick the Jets in that game. So those would be my 2 football picks is with against Notre Dame, and
Notre Dame's a 3.5-point favorite to BYU.
Yeah,
at
so
a neutral site.
I'm going to take BYU getting the points, and
All right.
I'll take the Jets given the points against the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are in trouble, so we'll see what happens. And then
Jay Fiedler. I mean, taking
horses,
the Jets. Yeah,
a couple of good races today. The features. One is a sprinter for 3 and up, the Phoenix, the 7th race. I like Necker Island at that one, the 6. I'm going to key him over the 2, 3, 7, maybe throw in the 1 and the 4 on some try tickets too. But that's Necker Island in the Phoenix Stakes at Keeneland, the 7th race, 6 over the 2, 3, 7 in exactas and tries. And then the 10th race, wide open affair, the Alcibiades for 2-year-old fillies. It's a great race. It's loaded. They've got 14 entries. There'll probably be a couple of scratches. I don't know if they're all going to the gate, but that's one of those things where if you hit it, like the favorite's going to be like 9-2. And I like 10, the Pletcher horse, even though we're in Kentucky and not New York, but Kaling, ridden by Johnny V at 6-1 morning line. Kaling, the number 10 in the Alcibiades Stakes at Keeneland. 10th race. Oh, is it the 9th? I'm sorry, the 9th race. The Darley Alcibiades Stakes, 9th race at Keeneland. Do the 10, throw in the 2 over the 1 and the 2. I like Chop the 2 a little bit at 12-1, so I might use them as a backup.
Is that name for Jorge Chavez? Chop?
It is. It has to be named. Chop.
It could be named, after some chef. I mean, is that a Bobby Flay special going in there?
It could be, or it could be after your Chinese restaurant. You get your chop suey there or something. But
I can't believe you went somewhere and ordered chicken chow mein, man, after I mentioned it. It is amazing how Svengali-like you are in terms of the possibility of influencing you to do something that you otherwise would.
But
all right.
Here's this,
Yes.
Defo. You try to influence me not to stuff my face, and you fail because here I go again.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to have to. It's going to be a tight, quick debate about showing up down there in Dania because I do have
Come on
to
now.
meet somebody before it too. So
Nicky,
I'll do my best.
Mohan might be. To get back
okay.
to a place.
Yeah.
To get back to a place from there, 1
Yeah.
o'clock to go back up by 2. You got it. It's in the back. No problem.
Maybe. All right. All right. We'll see you later. Mike Mayo's Lunchbox, where Mike Mayo will continue to amaze people with the amount of food that he can consume in a short period of time. He doesn't even, remember to give the reviews, Lubie, right? Like, you're looking for him to say, oh, wow, this is particularly flavorful. A lot of, you can taste the juices here. And, there's nothing like getting a fresh piece of rabbit or whatever the hell he's talking about. No, he just goes right from one thing to the next. It's pretty incredible. All right, Lubie, I hope everything works out. This is not going to be a very pleasant couple of hours for you, I would imagine.
No, I don't know.
Because it's always hectic, man.
I feel like I've said way too much, so I'd rather just leave it alone. And I hope everyone has a great weekend and enjoy some football. And watch Mayo's Lunchbox at 12. It should be a lot of fun at the Bake Shack.
The Feds, I believe it's usually a signature bond. Why would I know that?
I don't.
So they just let you roll out of there. They assume you're not going anywhere.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what Mayo's talked to a lawyer, and the lawyer says, "Look, it shouldn't be anything." Look, I've been wrong by this entire thing, so I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut and cross my fingers. And I don't know.
Hey, look, Roger Stone is walking around a free man.
Whatever.
Yeah.
We'll leave it alone. Have a great weekend, everyone. Enjoy your football and check out the Lunchbox.
All right, we'll see you guys at 12 as we leave you now that.
The time.
An interesting morning all the way around. I don't know that I've seen one quite like.
I had this never in over 12 years. We've never had anything like this.
Oh my God, 9:07.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.